Hello, everyone. Welcome you all to the Introduction to Generative AI for Tech Professionals. And this session is primarily focused for the developers, tech professionals, and solution architects, project managers, and QA professionals, everyone, and includes students as well, who are primarily looking into getting into a technology world. And in today's session, we are primarily focusing on the agentic AI and how it is shaping and different roles and use cases and industry direction where it is going. So myself, Raji, I'm an AI and automation advisor. I'm a mentor, mindfulness advocate, and angel investor focused on the seed level and pre-seed level growth startups on technology space. Let's get into the session. Before we get into the session, I quickly wanted to talk about my professional journey. I started off my journey in software and IT way back in 2005, right out of my college. I studied masters in computer science from Trichy Bishop Weber College, and I after joining Cognizant, I found my way up into taking up multiple different roles and moving to different locations and traveled the US multiple times across my career and journey. So during my first US engagement, I was a programmer focused on Microsoft and .NET technologies. And then when I moved back again in 2013, I was primarily focused on business analysis and production project management as my current as my focused role. And eventually, I wanted to pivot my career and come back into the technology space again. So I took up my course in postgraduate program in AI/ML at University of Texas. While doing that, so I was also working on RPA, which was a really a niche and emerging technology during that time frame. And then I eventually moved to Canada and took up the course and equipped myself into the latest technology and then joined IBM as an automation specialist focused on the business automation space. And today I am playing a customer success architect as a role covering majorly insurance and public sector. Provincial public sector. And this, in my current role, I help the enterprises to adopt AI and automation, accelerate their journey. Uh, and quick information. In this session, whatever I'm delivering is completely it's my personal delivery, and this does not have anything to do with my employer, be the present or previous employers. So it's just only based on my journey and the learnings in the career. I'm sharing this information. It's nothing to endorse any of my current or previous employers. What's your current role? So I wanted to actually open this question to ask yourself, what's your current role? And the reason is baseline yourself so that you can visualize where do you want to go in your journey. Next, have you experimented with GenAI or agents in your current role? If you have experimented in your personal role, I'm not asking that question. Have you experimented in AI and agents in your current professional role in your organization? So if the answer is yes, amazing, pat on your back. If it is no, planning to, so yes, great. So that's a great start. So you wanted to start because you're planning to try it out, and it's high time you should try it out as well. So let's move into the agenda for today. So we're going to quickly take a look at like what is the agentic evolution and why and what is happening right now and what's the pivotal moment that we all should be knowing and what are the different emerging roles because you know where you stand and what is that role you wanted to move into. To let's take a look into emerging roles and what are the core concepts, use cases, and models and frameworks and tooling. And let's also quickly jump into a demo and if you all want to learn generative AI, where do I start is another big question that everybody gets. So I have given a quick roadmap of learning generative AI. I'm happy to share all these links with you so you can actually go through and learn to upskill yourself. And finally, if you have any questions, you can also post in the comments, which I will be able to take a look at it and answer you. Since it's a recorded session, you won't be able to ask me directly. Feel free to post your questions in the comment section. Let's see how agentic AI evolved. So AI evolution started off with the advancement in overall artificial intelligence. And then we moved into a machine learning and deep learning era where the machine learning became a reality once we had enough data, and the deep learning became a reality when we had the right infrastructure and the servers and the capability to process the data more. With the advancement of neural networks as well, deep learning became a reality. The deep learning really opened up lots of doors for us in terms of not just using numbers, text, natural language processing, as well as the image. Also became another vision models became a reality. And the final, which is the era where we are today, right now, is the generative AI, where we have the ability to actually process massive amount of data. With the invent of transformers architecture and the attention in the reasoning capabilities that we have right now, the generative AI becomes a door for reality and the possibility of many problems that we cannot solve earlier in the deep learning and machine learning era as we stand today. And do we need to actually use only generative AI for all the problem statements, all the problems in the world? So does the deep learning and machine learning and AI becomes unreal? Not at all needed. No, the answer is no. We don't have to actually use generative AI or AI at all in certain scenarios. In certain scenarios, AI is not an answer. And when to use which type of AI becomes art more than the science. So, what are the different other AI solutions, other non-generative AI solutions, right? So, for example, like simulation, optimization, rule-based like decision making, non-generative AI machine learning, traditional machine learning, which existed way like many years back, and graph-based solutions. So these are some of the other non-generative AI solutions that still holds good in today's world as well. So why should I learn generative AI and why now? And what is the urgency? World Economic Forum have actually published a skill report, and the skill report is for addressing 2025 and 2030. There are a lot of jobs that are going to become skills that becoming relevant, irrelevant, and vanish into thin air. But there are a lot of skills that are going to become very important in future. So one of them is like AI and big data, and network cybersecurity, technology literacy, and creative thinking. So these are all very important skills that are going to be on the rise in between 2025 and 2030. So let's get ready to learn these skills. So at the same time, I wanted to actually quote another article that is quoting Bill Gates' message to all of us, right? So his advice is in this AI era, amid layoffs, like you might be seeing a lot of layoffs in top 100 200 companies or FANG companies where they are massively firing their workforce. How to stay relevant and be vigilant in this world where the layoff is a new normal, to read and use the latest tools. So empower yourself with the necessary skills and learn to use the latest tools. So this becomes a mantra for us to stay relevant. I provided the link to the World Economic Forum as well as the source for this news articles as well. You can go through them separately. Next, where do you stand today? These are different roles, but then when it comes to a role and the professional as a person you are today, I've created three different buckets. And the first one is the early professional, where you have 0 to 3 years of experience, mid level 4 to 10, and senior professional 10 plus years of experience. It's extremely difficult for the early professionals who have 0 to 3 years of experience, right? The reason is the kind of education that they actually went through during their era is not relevant today in this AI era. So the skills tools have emerged extremely fast, and where we stand today is something that they are not prepared for during their education and upskilling. So the second section, which is the mid-level, mark it as a green. So you're still in the green area, like happy zone, where it's a nice to be in the space where you have a relevant skill that has been used by the enterprise, and it's really important for the enterprise and running mission critical engagements and projects in the landscape. So I would say you are considerably in a safer zone where you are technical as well. But whereas the senior professionals who have started leading the engagement, have started leading the program or the project level, and architects who are actually like drawing a heavy or fatty paychecks from the enterprise is in the red zone. The reason is the skills that you have become expert is probably can be catered by the mid-level employees itself or an early professional itself with the advent of new AI tools. So the senior professionals are under a lot of scrutiny from an enterprise standpoint, and it's the place where you need to definitely start thinking about upskilling immediately. So question is, where do you stand today? Bucket yourself so that you know the plan of action. What are the different emerging roles? So, as you stand today, the different AI roles are emerging, and you can see yourself pivoting to these type of careers. Some of the AI roles, like analytics engineer, AI architect, AI risk and governance specialist, and AI product managers, those are all already existing in today's era. But whereas the emerging roles look such as like knowledge engineer, decision engineer, or model validator, they are all sort of emerging, and you probably can actually pick up where you want to see yourself, where you fit yourself in, and start upskilling yourself in that whole journey and era. So next is the must-have roles. Head of AI, AI ethics, AI like data and AI translator, machine learning engineer, or prompt engineer. These are like some of the new must-have roles that are emerging in the enterprise landscape. Again, if you are a pure developer person, so you want to fit yourself into the development space, or if you're a support person, you want to actually look into the operation side of things, or driving the day-to-day operations. So then you can find yourself fitting into the respective roles across in AI journey. So this source is from Gartner. Based on their research, they have published this report. Let's jump into the core concepts of generative AI. You might have actually used generative AI in the form of playing around with ChatGPT, which is one of the very popular large language model tool. But have you ever wondered how it works and how the output is generated? When you prompt or when you provide an input to the large language model, which is ChatGPT, the input that you provide is broken down and converted into a first step, which is called the tokens. So the tokens are broken down and further converted into numbers, which is called numerical vectors, which has a three-dimensional space where the numbers go and sit in a particular position relative to other text in the entire space. So the next one is the transformer, which uses the attention in the picks up the relevant parts, right? So not the entire sentence or the entire word or in the entire information that you provide may actually carry the equal weights or equal like importance. So you need to actually, the model needs to actually find out which piece of your input is really important. And using the transformers architecture, it picks up the right focus and picks up the relevant parts. And then it actually applies the, converts them into numerical vectors, which is basically applies a prediction algorithm and generates the prediction, and a response is generated as an output. It iterates through this multiple times to generate a proper response. So these steps, tokenizing, embedding, chunking, and transformation, prediction, and generation of response, let's see this in action. Okay, so here I am in OpenAI's tokenizer platform where I'm actually providing an input and picking up a model, and that input, which is in the form of text, is converted into tokens and characters. So here I have provided I'm an AI and automation advisor. So this text has been converted into 7 tokens and 33 characters. And we can see how the text has been broken down. Each word is actually broken down into a token, and each one of them has a numerical value associated with it, which is in the form of embeddings. So this is the basic basic fundamental architecture, how the large language model works. Next, let's understand about chunking. So what is chunking? So when we provide a large text, a very large text, what happens is the LLM splits this information into manageable chunks and processes the output. So here I have actually given a pretty lengthy chunk of information. We'll be able to split it. If you can see, when I actually change the chunk size, relatively the number of sections it is actually creating is changing. So that's what it's going on here. Based on the large language model that we are selecting, the chunk size will vary, and this length of the chunk is nothing but which defines the context windows. So you can explore this URL and learn how the chunking works and play around with it. Next, let's figure out how the responses are actually generated. So here I'm actually showing you a really amazing GitHub repo where it explains the transformers architecture. So in this transformers architecture, we are trying to see how this particular data that we have inputted. So let's see, as the spaceship approaches D, which is becoming the input, the next probable output is generated based on this sentence. So how it happens, the embeddings are each word is actually converted into an embeddings, and then the words are becoming a query value, and it generates an output, and that output actually associates a particular probability, and according to the probability that we wanted to pick, the next best word is predicted. So let's say I hit generate again, it's going to predict the next word. As the spaceship was approaching the planet, and is the most predicted, most highest probable word that can come, and the next word is the crew. So based on the data that it actually have already learned, this is the next best word that the model is generating. Perfect. So that's how the model works. Let's jump back. One of the fundamental concepts that we all need to learn as we are getting into the AI journey is the prompt engineering. What is prompt engineering? The kind of input that we provide into a large language model in the form of a textual information is prompts. The prompts are the input to or the portal where how we communicate to the large language models. And if we are really clear with our prompt or an input, then we are going to get a clear response. So it's essentially garbage in, garbage out. So we need to be really clear and careful and craft our input so that the large language model understands what to respond. Not just understand, we can also clearly say what has to be my output as well. So these are some of the ways we can actually prompt an LLM, which is zero shot, few shot, system prompting, contextual prompting, step back, chain of thought, self-consistency, etc. So irrespective of whatever the types of prompting that you're actually using in your problem statement, the best practice is to clearly provide a lot of examples. We'll see more during the demo how we will be using some of the examples to set more clarity to the prompt and design the prompt in a very simple way. Don't complicate, overcomplicate, and very specific about what is the output you want and clean instructions. And also be careful about what is the maximum token length that we need to use. Otherwise, the LLM is not going to remember everything. So our context is going to become irrelevant and it might start hallucinating and provide irrelevant answers as well. And also we should learn how to use variables in prompts because as we craft production grade systems, we will have to start using variables and mixing up some of the prompting techniques, few shot plus self consistency, etc., and define our input output formulas as well as in JSON so that JSON is one of the typical way of actually consumption of response, whereas an APIs wants to use our LLM's output as well. So there is a link that I have provided in this slide where you can actually go through the Google's prompt engineering guide to learn more about the different types of prompt engineering techniques. So this Google engineering guide has details about like what are the different types of prompt engineering techniques and sample as well. So here is this document which clearly explains about all different types of prompting, and you can learn from the sample as well. Pick up the sample code and start executing and learning from the outputs. Let's get back. So here's one example of how a prompt should look like. Number one, get provide a real clear clarity of what we want to the LLM to solve and provide relevant context, meaning additional information so that the LLM can generate a very specific answer, not a generalized answer. And what is the format that you want to actually see as an output? And what are the typical constraints? And what is the evaluation criteria? So here is an example prompt that I have attached as well. So it's tuned and tweaked towards my personal needs and my personal goals. For example, like, hey, here is me, and I want a 90-day health optimization plan, and I'm a 42-year-old software developer who works remotely, and this is my weight, and this is my sleeping habits, etc. And I am looking for a different format of output, and this is my evaluated constraints that you need to work around. For example, I want the meal plan should be vegetarian, diet preference, etc. So let's jump into as a software technology professional, where do I see most of the use cases and most of the problems that are getting focused solution in today as we stand today in the enterprise level? The very first place where the generative AI is applied is at the developers level. And some of the use cases are code generation, code refactoring, and continuous integration, validation, and analyzing the code, etc. And next, from a QA standpoint, different use cases around test case generation, user stories creation, test bed creation, regression, etc. As a business analyst, like creating a small prototype doesn't need any more an US or UX or UI professional. They can actually start creating a minimum viable product using vibe coding or like meeting summarization and different types of process flow diagrams. They can actually create and rapidly test them with a lot of AI tools today. Next, from a solution architect and the scrum masters, again, they can start using these like highly AI based sophisticated orchestrations and meeting summarization tools, etc., to get a lot of things done in a very short period of time with very less resources. So these are different use cases that industry is adopting today as we stand. What are the different AI models and solutions, and why we need actually even to learn about different models? There is no one size fits all. We cannot or we shouldn't be using one single model for all our needs. The reason is every type of models are tuned towards solving certain problems. And if we look at the general purpose models like ChatGPT, 4 or Claude or Llama, they all are trained on massively publicly available data, and they serve they're good in answering general purpose Q&A questions and answers. But whereas if we are very specifically looking for a model for a developer, we really don't have to use a general purpose model which is built or like trained on tons and tons of publicly available data. We can pick up a model which is very much focused and tuned and developed on specific particular code. I'll take an example of IBM Granite code. In this code, if we look at, like, we can just use a smaller model to serve our needs. For example, Cursor or GitHub Copilot. These are all models that are fine-tuned towards, or like specifically catering to the coding specific problem statements, and they are not massive, trained on massive data sets. They are pretty much decent in size, very small in the model size, and serves the needs at the same time. And image and vision models, like these are specialized models which have been trained on massive images, videos to work on the outputs that needs to be generated in the form of vision or image specific outputs. So for the solution architect, the need is to actually work on specific platforms. Irrespective of the models, I should be able to pick and choose different models and then use them across different problems and solutions. For example, IBM Watson XAI is a platform where we'll be able to pick and choose different models and build using different frameworks and different capabilities and solve a business problem at the same time. In the next slide, we will see about the frameworks and additional concepts. So next is the decision making of the project management. Notion is another great example. Or SharePoint is another brilliant example of where the Copilot can be deployed to give us a appropriate response and define project management plans and overall like Q&A or help documents or the overall project management using Jira AI can be done in a most efficient and appropriate way. So let's jump into what are the different frameworks and tools that exist today. So Agentic AI is evolving rapidly. So having said that, one size does not fit all. So each of these frameworks actually serve different scenarios and different purposes. I'll start with LangChain, which is a developer-first toolkit for building modular LLM apps, along with the uh, memory built in and the tools and the prompt templates that are capsuled together in it. Crew A is another example of orchestration of multiple agents that can be built in, multiple tools can be integrated into the respective agents as well. So another amazing example is the N8N and the Make.com. These are all low-code orchestration platforms where LLM agents can be built and a pipeline of robust workflows can be established at the task level decomposition, and we can build these magical workflows with very little to less time in an efficient way. So this is an N8N flow where every day at 7 o'clock, this workflow will get triggered where it's going to go and fetch the meetings for the day and filter my meetings and only the meetings related to where I have a text call meeting with or call with. And if I don't have any of those subject emails, it's going to end. The workflow will end. If I have any of those meetings, it's going to extract the company name and get the latest news from the web and format the email and send me the news. All right. So without any delay, let's go ahead and execute this workflow. So it executed and it's formatting and it sent the news. So let's go ahead and check my email whether it actually generated the Yes. Great. I have an email where I have set up meeting with Facebook. So yeah, in reality, I don't have a meeting with Facebook. I've just set it up for the sake of our demo. So I got an email saying, hey, these are the news about Facebook, recent news, and these are the sources for that. So what I will do is just tweak this and change it to, hmm, let's say, okay, so I'll change this to IBM. All right, so I'll hit the save. So now I have meeting with IBM, and then I have to go and run this workflow. Let's go ahead and run the workflow again. This time it should trigger an email about IBM. So, all right, the workflow is complete. Checking my email. Yes, I have the email with the latest IBM news. Amazing. This is an excellent use case where we can build workflow, generative AI powered workflow that can accomplish and orchestrate a task seamlessly. Roadmap for learning generative AI. So here, if you're a beginner or if you have already gone through certain level of generative AI learning, you still want to actually upskill on the latest and greatest information. These are all, most of them are free resource available for you to get yourself started with generative AI. Go ahead, learn them and upskill and get ready for the next new role that you wanted to get into. Again, I get a lot of questions around can you review my resume? And again, it's a great idea to actually get to see one of the resume to draw some inspirations and to draw some inputs as well. So I have hereby attached my resume. You can look into and take some inspirations on how you would like to construct your resume. um, I have taken a lot of inputs from my own mentors and my own managers who have guided me and given me feedback in drafting my resume. So again, feel free to leverage and reach out to me if you are looking for any career guidance or career input or resume review, etc. You can reach out to me via LinkedIn and subscribe to my newsletter. I'll be posting a lot of articles on a regular basis covering different topics. And you can also book an appointment and get some career guidance if you're looking for something. Email me or keep following me in the socials in the Explainable AI handle. Again, thank you so much for listening and wish you all a happy day or an evening or an afternoon and see you all with the next episode.